Привет всем, с вами я, Janie, и это College Russian. In today's video, we are continuing our topic of verbal aspect. As I said, my university students right now are working on this, and a lot of my private students are also working on this, and it is a very complex topic, but I'm trying to break it down for you to make it very straightforward and very accessible. And then part 3 is going to be me going over aspect in a sample lesson with my private student, Eli, who many of you have seen in my videos. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to learn aspectual pairs. Okay, so anytime you look up a word in a dictionary, it's going to be, you're going to see two versions of the verb. Some Russian verbs actually don't have two versions, and you'll just memorize those as you go. But 90% of them do, and it's really up to you to memorize which one is perfective, which one is imperfective. So in today's video, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to do that. Also, the accompanying worksheet for this whole video series is available on collegerussian.com. The link to it will be in the description box, and then also the links to some of the websites that I recommend to help you memorize verbal aspect are going to be in the description box below. So you're going to get the most of these videos if you're following along with those worksheets, but not a big deal if you're not, because in today's video, we're actually going to be quizzing you as well. So you're really going to have to pay attention in the video, because then you'll do well in the quiz later on. So, okay, let's get started. So this is an example of the worksheet that I am giving to my students. And then here, for example, I just looked up 100 most common verbs in Russian. And sure enough, you can see there's two columns, the perfective verbs and the imperfective verbs. And this is the typical system you're going to use when you start memorizing verbs in Russian. So again, if you're following along with the worksheet, by the end of today's video, you will have this chart beautifully filled out. So and when you see Russian, nobody's indicating to you whether you're looking at perfective or imperfective. It's up to you to use these strategies to figure out whether the word you're looking at is a perfective verb or an imperfective. So for example, some of these verbs in this little dialogue from the website that I use in my classroom, I'll link it in the description box below, are things like показать, спросили, сказала, случилось, сделала, была, знала, хотели, говорили, and so on and so forth. So you would look at those verbs and maybe not off the top of your head know whether they're perfective or imperfective. Well, by the end of today's lesson, you will know which ones they are, because you'll either apply the strategies I teach you, or I will have told you exactly which aspect they are. So real quick, here are a couple of my favorite resources that I use when I'm not sure of whether a verb is the perfective or imperfective. And that's also what I have my students do. So one second, let me get that going. Okay, so here is my screen. So this website is called Cooljigator.com, and it actually is available in multiple languages. The link to it is down in the description box. And you can come here, and here are the 50 most popular verbs in Russian. And hopefully you guys know how to type in Russian by now, because it is the 21st century. So you could come here and say you want to learn, you want to learn more about the verb brать. Okay, brать. So let's search it. And then amazingly, this is not only going to give you all the conjugations, but it's also, in fact, yeah, it's actually down here. Let's try that one. It's also going to tell you whether it's perfective or imperfective, okay? So come up here, we see брать. It is the imperfective, and this verb's perfective counterpart is взять, okay? So you'd come down here and be like, okay, wow, there's the present tense conjugations. Here's the past tense conjugations, and then those kinds of things as well as the command form. And then you're like, wow, взять, I've never even heard that. I wonder how that conjugates. You can click on that. Я возьму, ты возьмешь, он возьмет. And again, that means I will take, you will take, etc. So that's one place you can go. My personal favorite is this website, Wikislovar. Problem with this website is you got to know Russian to navigate it, but it is everything you could ever possibly want to know about the Russian language. Oh, it's so beautiful. So for example, let's take the verb отдыхать, meaning to rest. And then just again, oh, this is my happy place right here. Everything you could ever want to know. So look, again, you'd have to know Russian to understand it. And this is great for more advanced learners. Глагол несовершенный вид, imperfective, непереходный, that's a intransitive, blah, blah, blah. And then you would come over here, соответствующий глагол совершенного вида. The corresponding verb of perfective is отдохнуть. Отдохнуть. Then you'd come down here and look at all this beautiful stuff it provides you. The conjugations, the past tense, the imperative, the participles that you can create from it, etc. Also, if you're a big language nerd, doesn't have, you could come down here and get the etymologia, like the origin of the word, where it comes from. And then like there's the roots that are on it. Again, this is great for advanced learners, people who already speak Russian. Okay, so those are my two favorite websites for memorizing these charts. So once you have this information, then what do you do with it? Right? So if you are an overachiever student, you're going to make either like a literal chart that you actually write out and color code. Joseph, you know I'm talking to you because you're the only one who's an overachiever like that I know of. But you'll either do this like actually in your notebook or in your head, okay? So this is what, anytime you learn a verb, your chart in your head or in your notebook, if you're an overachiever, should look like this. Notice it's color-coded. Imperfective is blue. Perfective is red. Okay, so notice perfective has no present tense. So guess what? You only need to memorize 2 sets of conjugations, whereas делать, you're combining, for the future, you're combining it with буду. Я буду делать, ты будешь делать. So yeah, and we'll be talking more about that, how that would translate into English in our part 3 video. And then, for example, some example sentences of how you might use each of these verbs in context. Again, I sometimes actually in my university classes, I make them choose 10 verbs that they want to create this kind of chart for, because it really helps them visualize that there is no present tense in perfective. Plus, anytime you learn a new verb, you have got to memorize the conjugations, and they may not be the same on both sides of the chart. So again, that's something you could do if you want to be extra. So today we're going to talk about 4 strategies for identifying which aspect a verb is. Say you just do not have the energy to go officially look it up on one of those websites. You can just use some of these strategies to infer which aspect you're looking at. So strategy number 1 is, if it's a verb you've already been using in your first year of Russian, and it now has some sort of prefix on it. Remember, prefix is something that goes at the beginning of a word. The prefixed version of it is perfective. So here you can see делать. You guys have learned that. Чистить зубы, фотографировать, выпить, прочитать. So once we put those prefixes on it, the prefixed version now becomes the perfective. Okay, so later on, we're going to be having quizzes where I'll give you these partners, and you got to identify which one is the perfective one, which one is the imperfective. So again, think of it this way. If it's a verb you've already learned up until now in your Russian studies, and now suddenly it has this prefix on the front of it, there you go. The prefixed version is the perfective. So another very common prefix that often shows that a verb is perfective is the prefix po, which can mean to do something for a little bit. Now, big disclaimer here, big disclaimer. Po only perfectivizes a verb if one of the verbs has po and the other one doesn't. Now, for an example like помогать and помочь, both of them start with po. So the po doesn't help us out here in any way. And you would just have to memorize which is which. Понимать, получать, получить, for example. If both of the words in the partnership start with po, then you have to use a different strategy. But if only one of them starts with a po, okay, the one that starts with a po is the perfective. So let's try it out. Let's do a little quiz. Find the perfective verbs here. Ужинать, to have dinner. So start looking while I'm telling you what all these verbs mean. Ужинать, to have dinner. Смотреть, посмотреть means to watch. Пообедать, обедать means to eat lunch. Звонить, позвонить means to call. Поужинать, ужинать means to have dinner. Okay, you ready to see the answer to the quiz? Bam! Sure enough, all those words with the pool in front were the perfective ones. Now, huge but right here. Not like that kind of but like, okay, a big exception here is this verbal partnership, and it's the only one in the Russian language. Please tell me in the comments below if there are others, and I'll be very angry if there are others, because this is extremely unfair, if you ask me. This is the only partnership in the Russian language where it's actually reversed. The pool with покупать is the imperfective. Oh, right? Seriously. So again, as far as I know, this is the only verb partnership in the whole Russian language where the pool is actually on the imperfective one. But pretty sure everywhere else in the Russian language, pool symbolizes in a partnership that it's perfective. Okay, next strategy, infixes. Prefix goes at the beginning of the word, suffix goes at the end of a word, infix goes inside the word. If you see these infixes, Eva, Iva, Ava, they are imperfective. Imperfective, okay? Let's try out your knowledge. Find which in these partnerships is the perfective. Find which of these words in the partnerships are the perfective verbs. So again, if you see Eva, Iva, Ava, that one is the imperfective. Okay, so let's go through and talk about what these verbs mean. Показывать, показать, to show, рассказать, рассказывать, to tell, вставать, встать, to get up, закрыть, закрывать, to close, заканчивать, закончить, to finish, опоздать, опаздывать, to be late for, дать, давать, to give, and забывать, забыть, to forget. Okay, you ready to see the answers? The perfective ones. Oh, well, okay. The imperfective, shoot, I gave you the wrong test there. Well, the perfective ones are the ones in blue, which means the ones not in blue are the perfective. Показывать, рассказывать, вставать, закрывать. And again, when you look at a list of like those 100 most common verbs, you'll really be able to see a whole bunch of verbs that have these infixes. Okay, next strategy is if in a partnership, you have the suffixes it and at or yat. The it version is the perfective. It equals perfective. So let's look at these partnerships and see if you can start picking out which ones are the perfective. Решить, решать, to decide or to solve. Отвечать, ответит, is to answer. I don't know why I spaced it on that one. Получать, получить is to receive or to get. Случиться, случаться means to happen. Проверить, проверять means to check, like to check your email. Okay, so do you feel like you know which ones are the perfective ones? Let's take a look. There you go. The ones that had the it ending are the perfectives. Okay, so one student one time said to me that, you know how this is how I memorize which ones are perfective, which ones are imperfective, is the imperfective ones are longer. Okay, so kind of, right? Unless it was that first strategy I told you about where it's a familiar verb that's now been prefixed. The now prefixed ones are actually longer. Okay, so let's eliminate that. If that's not the case, then let's think to some other cases, and there's no infix, or the infix is going to make it longer naturally. So this does kind of work sometimes. This does kind of work sometimes. And in fact, leave your ideas in the comments. Let me know times where this is not true. And I can think of a handful of types of verbs where this is not true, but I think it's actually a pretty good strategy when you're unsure, okay? So it works for a word like убирать, убрать. But it doesn't work for a combination like читать, прочитать. Because remember, if it's a familiar verb with just a new prefix on it, then this concept does not work. But it does work in a lot of other areas, especially if the thing that makes the word longer is an infix. Infixes usually mean imperfective. Okay, so quiz time. Here we go. Part one of our quiz is you're just going to look at a partnership and determine which one is the perfective, which one is the imperfective. This is your chance to apply these strategies that I've been teaching you. Here we go. To open. Открывать, открыть. Which one is the imperfective? I'm going to come up with a little song of some sort, like Jeopardy. Okay, which one is the imperfective? Okay, the imperfective is открывать because of that infix. And it follows that rule of the imperfective is the longer version. Okay, so that one works. Let's look at the next one. Встать, вставать. Встать, вставать. Which one is the imperfective? Вставать. Вставать. Я встаю, ты встаешь, он встает. That one is the imperfective because it has that infix of right in the middle. Okay, next one. To see, видеть, увидеть. Интересно. Which one is the imperfective? Which one is the imperfective? Okay, we've seen the word видеть before. That one's pretty familiar, right? And now suddenly it's getting a prefix. Prefix on a familiar verb equals perfective. So the imperfective is несовершенный. Or wait, the imperfective is видеть. Так, очень хорошо. Next one. This one's interesting. Принимать, принять. Which one is the imperfective? Okay, I'll tell you. The whole concept of the imperfective being longer works here. Принимать, принимать душ, принимать таблетки и так далее. Принять, it conjugates very interestingly. And when you make those verb charts, because I know you're going to do it, and they're going to be pretty, and they're going to be all organized and color-coded, you're going to be very surprised by those verb conjugations for принять. Я приму, ты примешь, он примет, мы примем, etc. It conjugates in a really weird way. Okay, next one. Ooh, this one's a hard one. This one's very, very tricky. So взять, this means to take, or to get in some contexts. Взять, брать. If you know this one, I'm very proud of you. Okay. Which one is the imperfective? And the answer is брать. Брать. This is one of those very unfair aspectual partnerships where it's two totally different words. Leave in the comments below if you know more examples of these. There's a ton of them in Russian, and it's just not fair. It's just not fair. But there are some times where the perfective is a totally different word root than the imperfective. Okay, next partnership. Okay, now actually we have leveled up, and now we're going to, first, you have to look at the verb. Tell me, is it совершенный or несовершенный? Then you have to come up with who its partner is. Oh, brutal, right? But this is the kind of thing your brain needs to be doing to become fluent in Russian. Your brain needs to do this on autopilot. Ooh, crazy, right? Okay, so понять. Okay, so let's think. It means to understand. What is its? So is this perfective or imperfective? This one is совершенный. This one is perfective. And its partner is понимать. Понимать. Okay, my translation of the word probably helped you. Again, crazy conjugations on this one. Я пойму, ты поймешь, он поймет. Crazy conjugations. Вот. Okay, следующий. Again, you're identifying, is the given verb in front of you perfective or imperfective? And then who's his partner? Play matchmaker. You got to be a matchmaker. So, готовить, to cook. Is it perfective or imperfective? Little hint. Have you been using this word in your first year of Russian? Then it is imperfective, and his partner is приготовить. Приготовить. Так, очень хорошо. Начать, to start. Is this one the perfective or the imperfective? Начать is совершенный, perfective, and the imperfective is начинать, начинать. Вот. And again, that's an example where the longer version is the imperfective because of an infix. Oh, this one's interesting. It looks kind of similar to a verb you may have been using in your first year of Russian. So let's identify, is it a perfective or imperfective? I'm going to give you a quick tip. If you see a nut ending on the end of a word, it is perfective. A nut suffix symbolizes perfective. So this one is perfective, but who's its partner? His partner is kind of different. His partner is отдыхать, to rest. Отдыхать. So отдохнуть means to like have a good little rest, to like, I feel rejuvenated. I had a good little rest. I'm done, right? Okay, очень хорошо. Let's identify if this one is совершенный or несовершенный. Okay, this one, if we think like я говорю по-русски, you don't just say Russian, right? No, you speak it. It's an ongoing thing. So несовершенный. Oh, but the big question is, who is its partner? Who is its partner? And if you were to look this up on one of the websites, you would get probably two versions. One is to сказать. Сказать is when you like say a sentence, you say a word, you say it. It came out of your mouth, it's done. And поговорить means to talk for a little bit. And that's more advanced grammar, but a lot of times you can put по on front of a verb and have it mean to do something for a little bit. Okay, next. So this means to help. Я помогу, ты поможешь, он поможет, и так далее. So, what do you think? Perfective or imperfective? This one is perfective. And its partner is помогать. So that strategy of it being the longer version it works here. That's pretty cool. Okay, we just leveled up. Things are about to get more complicated. Now, you need to take everything you learned from the first video and apply it to everything you learned in this video. And you're going to be choosing the best option to make these sentences grammatically correct. Okay? So I had mercy on you and I conjugated these verbs for you. That was very nice of me. When you level up next time, you won't be provided the conjugations because you will expect to have it all up here. Ugh, okay? So that's goals, right? Here we go. In context. So we're looking for keywords. We're looking for concepts that would make us need either perfective or imperfective. Например, мои родители всегда скажут мне «я люблю тебя» или мои родители всегда говорят мне «я люблю тебя». So the way I would translate this into English is my parents always say I love you. So we need imperfective because of the keyword всегда. So мои родители всегда говорят мне. Говорят. Because скажут means they will tell me one time. It doesn't make sense with the word всегда. Excuse me, sorry, my voice. Okay, хорошо, следующий. Каждый день я начинаю или начну мой рабочий день в 8 часов. Where's our keywords? Do we have any keywords in there? Yep, каждый день. That's a keyword, tells us we need which aspect. We need несовершенный. Let's look. Was one of those versions longer than the other? Okay, yeah, начинаю. Каждый день я начинаю мой рабочий день в 8 часов. Очень хорошо. Next one. У нас нет молока, но мама something, что завтра она something. Okay, so we don't have milk, but mom said that tomorrow she will. Okay, so this is what this should be. This is a one-time thing. Mama didn't always used to say she would buy milk. She said it once. We don't have any milk right now. But mom said, she said it one time, that tomorrow she will get this done. She will do it, and then we'll have milk. Hooray, because there will have been a result to this action. So, у нас нет молока, но мама сказала, что завтра она купит. So, that she will buy it tomorrow. She will buy the milk tomorrow. And then we'll have milk, and everything will be great. Perfective, perfective. Очень хорошо. Следующий. Сегодня мой сын woke up late, поздно. Он быстро ate breakfast и даже was late to his lesson. So today my son woke up late and quickly ate breakfast, and was even late to his class. Okay, so if you guys remember back to the first video, when we have a series of events that all can't be done simultaneously, we're going to get perfective because you have to have finished the one action to start the next. So, like as you see, he can't be simultaneously waking up, eating breakfast, and going late to class. No, he woke up late, bam, finished. He ate breakfast quickly, bam, finished. And then he was late to class. So we need perfective. Сегодня мой сын встал поздно, он быстро позавтракал и даже опоздал на урок. Все, очень хорошо. As you can see, sure enough, the imperfective verbs are the longer ones. So maybe my student was onto something, but again, leave in the comments if you know instances where that is not the case. I know several, by the way. Okay? Хорошо. Следующий. Если ты любишь, love, so if you love to read, по-моему, ты можешь read Анну Каренину за неделю. So if you love to read, I think you can read Anna Karenina in 1 week. Okay, so we've got some keywords. Любить. Любить gets paired with несовершенный. Любить gets paired with imperfective. So if you love to читать, читать, по-моему, ты можешь прочитать because of the keyword за, which emphasizes how quickly you will do a verb. So you can, and if you've seen Anna Karenina, это большая, довольно большая книга. So I think if you love to read, I think you could finish reading Anna Karenina in a week's time. Okay. So when we have za plus a period of time, it has to be paired with a perfective verb because you're emphasizing how quickly the action was finished. Okay. Вот, следующий. This is my favorite. This is a little dialogue, for example. Привет, что ты делаешь? Я... Oh, and those should be conjugated. Yikes. Sorry about that. I am making dinner. So я готовлю или приготовлю ужин. Should be я готовлю ужин. Because that would be a really weird response to your friend's question of like, hey, what are you doing? I'm going to make dinner. No, well, what are you doing right now? Like that's later. What are you doing right now? And that is because in order to speak in the present tense, you need imperfective. There is no present tense in the perfective. Вот. Okay. Another one here. Совершенный или несовершенный. Обычно мой сосед по квартире something cleans everything on Saturdays. Все в субботу. Но сегодня он был занят и cleaned only the bathroom. Только ванную. Interesting. Okay, so what's our key word? Обычно. Обычно is a key word which tells us we need imperfective. So the correct version would be обычно мой сосед убирает. Убирает. Но сегодня он был занят. But today he was busy. So he was not able to successfully do that. So he only had time to finish one small part of it. Right? So he only finished one small part of it, which means он убрал только ванную. He was only able to clean just the bathroom. Okay? Вот. Очень интересно. Okay, and then I believe this is the last one. У меня был очень продуктивный день. I had a productive day. Я did большую тренировку, a big workout. Потом wrote большое essay. Then I wrote a big essay. После этого я наконец-то finished большой проект, a big project. So straight away, продуктивный день tells us we finished a lot of things. Okay. And finishing, when we care about finishing things, we care about the perfective. So this should be у меня был очень продуктивный день. Я сделала большую тренировку, потом написала большое эссе. После этого я наконец-то, that's a keyword for perfective, наконец-то закончила большой проект. I finished a big project. Вот, очень хорошо. Okay, one more. Моя бабушка долго рассказывает или расскажет нам истории о жизни в Советском Союзе. Leave a comment in the comments below if you know somebody who likes to talk about the good old days of the Soviet Union. So my grandma for like goes on and on for a long time. She talks forever about, she tells us forever stories about life in the Soviet Union. So dolga means for a long time. We're not emphasizing that she finished it or she will do it and she will finish talking about. So we're going to use несовершенный. Моя бабушка долго рассказывает нам истории о жизни в Советском Союзе. Очень хорошо. And okay, this one is for sure the last one. Хочешь пиццу? Нет, я уже something ate dinner дома, at home. Хорошо, ты можешь заказать вино. All right, then you can just order wine. Нет, я не drink. I don't drink. Я мормон. Right? Okay, this is to all of you Mormons out there. Hope you feel special. Hope you feel validated for not drinking. Хорошо, ты можешь заказать вино, но я не... So you're saying, in general, I don't do this action. I habitually do not do this action because of my religion. Okay, so that one should be не пью. I habitually don't do this action, right? And then the other one, our keyword in the other one is уже. Уже. I already did that action, and therefore I don't want pizza because I finished that action, and now I don't feel hungry anymore. So it should be я уже поужинал. Я уже поужинал дома. So, okay. Woo! So hopefully that helps you figure out how you need to start organizing all of this information in your heads, and then how to apply the rules we learned in the first video and put them into context. The next video is going to be putting it all together, using those verb conjugations that you need to know, identifying which aspect you need in a given context. And then with my student Eli, we'll be doing a lot more in the way of intermediate and advanced usages, such as being more specific with past tense and future tense, crazy things that you need to know that use imperfective. For example, intention versus inability versus success versus attempt. Just crazy stuff that verbal aspect is used to convey extra meaning into a sentence. So tune in for that. That'll be released next week. I hope this was great. Don't forget to download the accompanying worksheet on collegerussian.com and leave some comments below if you know any example verbs that violate the various rules that I talked about. Хорошо, это все. До свидания.